Hello, my name is Christine Freeman. I'm the Learning Disabilities Development Worker for BME Communities. This project came about to find out what are the barriers between agencies and communities. We put this project together to find out what are the dilemmas of the African communities tapping into services and what are the barriers. Well, with this project, we wanted to make sure as well, is it a spiritual thing? Is it the services and not understanding the needs that are out there within the African communities? So we've taken the time out to go into the African communities. We chose 5 different African communities: Malawian, Nigerian, Zimbabweans, Somalians. And we've actually gone out there to find out why they are not tapping into these services. And here goes. Here is what we asked the BME communities from the African continent. What do you understand by the term learning disability? Disability is someone who has no ability to go and run and talk. There's a lot of things in disability.
My understanding is learning disability is a person that has problems with reading and writing, a problem that suffers from mental illnesses. That's that kind of root of it. That's why I understand it.
Learning disability. I know the word disabilities has many meanings, but when it comes to learning, they need some attention because they cannot study with the mainstream students. They need more help. Like a disabled person, learning disability is a bit tricky meaning, but it's someone that at least needs more help than normal students.
I think a learning disability is something to do with a mental state, not with... It's actually a combination of mental and physical movement as well, so I don't know the actual definition, but I do know what it is.
Basically, it refers to people who have challenges in understanding things or capturing things. That's how I would describe it.
Well, learning disability are those who really need assistance support. For their help and for their need as well.
Well, I think it refers to people that have difficulties in normal environment. So probably they have difficulties in holding a job or being a normal kid at school or just a normal person in society.
Our understanding on learning of disability is based mainly on the ethical principles, mainly like our organization, which has. We believe everybody's got the equal right to the access to the disability. To learning. So if there's anything which is hindering somebody to learn, then we believe that's a disability. So we have got people who are actually accessing the vital elements of education, and then that is, to me, that is a disability.
Basically, what I would look at as a learning disability is someone who is struggling to learn just because of he has something that is not performing at an equal level. Everything being equal is on the weaker side. I take that one as someone with a learning disability.
What is the response in your community of a person with a learning disability?
You have these
kinds of people that mostly do not come across as a learning disability or having a disability. They kind of hide, so it's difficult to access them. Families do hide them because in our culture, I don't know how they look at it, some kind of embarrassment. Some families will hide people like those. And for us as a group, it is difficult to access them. Some of them do have these types of learning disabilities, but they never come out and just live in the community and pretend nothing's wrong.
Of course, we may think that disability everybody appreciates, but not necessarily. There's a lot of stigma attached to disability. So my organization as well, when we have got somebody with the disability, there is tendency that in the first place, they try to get along without showing it or without telling us. But eventually, when we see that there is some problems in that, then we realize and then we start interviewing that particular person and addressing the needs so that he can have access to all the education which is available. Our country actually basically is a God-fearing nation. We believe in God a bit more. And then because of that, we just believe that everybody's been able or not disabled, we believe they've got something to contribute. So as a result, when they have got that kind of disability, of course, the first point of call is to pray about it. And even if they may not disclose it, there is always an altar call when you're in church to say, those people who are feeling impairment in any shape or form, let them come forward so we can pray for them. That kind of thing is always encouraged. The churches we go to, Malawians go to several churches, and I believe those are all sort of things which, if they go to those churches, they can be prayed for. However, some of them may not be very explicit, like I said. Some of them may be general. So as a result, it's difficult as well to pray specifically for a particular disability. However, the cultural barrier tends to bring it to the fact that they don't necessarily disclose it, so as a result they just pray in general. So unless there can be a system whereby we can diagnose the people in our communities ourselves and then be able to follow these systems through. But at the moment there is nothing, I can't see anything happening on that area.
The community doesn't get involved much unless otherwise, but if somebody is disabled, he's getting his support or her support from the family.
Okay.
Yeah. If the government will come in terms of medication, if somebody is sick.
I think within our community, you'll be seen as a reject, somebody that isn't created perfectly like we are. So I don't think they have a lot of knowledge about what a mental disability is at all. I think they think it's something. It's a punishment or whatever it could be. But I think it's something that needs to be brought up actually within our community, as people have such lack of knowledge about.
They are seen as someone that is dumb to people that don't understand to what they're saying. Someone that cannot cope and cannot understand like normal people. So there is a stigma attached to it. If we meet somebody with a learning disability, we take responsibility. How to support them, how to communicate, and sometimes we go with them to the hospital and to the pharmacy.
Without being hypothetical, but to be honest with you, it's difficult for me to say as a fact to say there's this number of. But from my experience, I can only suspect to say I think there is quite a few.
Oh well, they find it really difficult because the help was not there, and there's no really assistant judge. They'll only be struggling to do all their things themselves. And there's no any help from government. Financial support to live. Not have to be, begging for money to survive and all this kind of stuff.
People in that sort of category, they are not very acceptable in the community. I believe it's just our mindset, when you think you are up there, you just want to keep everyone around you on that level. I don't know if I'm making sense. I don't think it's a thing that people really look into. Like if you on a lower level to some people, they just want to keep away. You know what I mean? So in Nigeria community, it's a bit.
Some people are not aware of the learning disabilities and how they should relate to that particular person. So if they're not directly related to that person, they may just leave them. He'll get home and hopefully his relatives will help him. So there's how do I put it? The community doesn't respond, you see, to the problem as a community. It's left to the individuals' families to deal with that problem.